Hey, what's up, guys? Antonio Edwards here, and I'm super stoked and pumped today. I have a special guest. He's with a company I've been using to use as funding for my real estate investing business, and I wanted to do this video and him, share what they have to help me and how this can help you for your real estate investing business. Um, his name is Mike Banks. He's with Fund and Grow, and I'm gonna let him dive deeper in a minute to exactly what Fund and Grow is. But just to tell you about Fund and Grow, Fund and Grow has been part of the Inc. 5000 the last 4 years. They have over 1,500 reviews online. Um, Mike himself, as you can see, he's been involved with Fund and Grow for 8 years, so he definitely has so much experience to help you, get you the lines of credits and help you get funding for your business. And also, what I also like about this is that their conversion rate is high. Last month alone, they established over $15 million of lines of credit for customers and businesses to help them grow their businesses and fund their businesses. So I want to introduce to you Mike Banks with Fund and Grow. What's up, Mike?
Hey, how you doing, Antonio? Thank you so much for having me today. Super
Yeah, man.
excited to, talk about this topic because I personally use it in my real estate business, and I've just seen thousands of clients over the last 8 years that I've been with the company that have been able
Yeah.
to use this in their business. We've got clients that are buying quadplexes, clients that are buying rental properties, rehabbing,
Mhm.
and then tenanting the property and then refinancing out. So we got a lot of really good info to cover. I think it's going to be really helpful to a lot of the investors who are going to come across this video.
Absolutely, Mike. And one thing I like about Fund and Grow and what helped us is we applied the lines of credits we got towards marketing dollars to get seller leads so we can do wholesale deals. So
Yep.
it can go. It's use it for so many ways. Specifically for people watching this that follow me, for your real estate businesses. I mean, this is like perfect because I
Yeah.
mean we're our profits. A $5,000 wholesale deal is a small deal in the real estate world. So I mean, just imagine what you can use lines of credit for your real estate business for. So first question I have for you, Mike, is how is it possible to get funding for Fund and Grow? Walk us through the process, man.
Okay. Well, it's super straightforward and easy. We actually have a link that we're going to put in the description for people to where you can pre-qualify. So you just fill out the quick form. It's super easy. And then we'll give you a call and go over everything with you and let you know how much you pre-qualify for. So the
Mhm.
process of getting funding with us is really straightforward. You kind of just get on a phone call. We go over your credit scenario with you on the call, or we can even have you fill out a pre-qualification. So basically, we'll ask you some questions about your credit, figure out where you're at, because even though these business credit lines do not show up on your personal credit report, the banks that we apply with, they are going to still look at your personal credit. So you do have to have pretty good personal credit in order to qualify. So that's what we're talking about when we say pre-qualify. It's really all about your personal credit scores, credit cards that you have open, the balances. So ideally, you don't want to be maxed out. You want to have decent credit, not too many blemishes. And then within the next 2 weeks, you could receive up to $150,000. And
Wow.
all of this business credit that we apply for, it doesn't show up on your personal credit report. Like I said, even though they want to look at your score, it doesn't show up there. So if you're doing a flip and you got 50, 60, $100,000 tied up in a house, it's not going
Hmm.
to report to your personal score. So it's not going to bring your personal score down while you're doing the renovations, while you're getting that house ready to be put on the retail market. So, it's a
That's
pretty
amazing.
attractive thing. So yeah, getting pre-qualified is the first step. And then once you're pre-qualified, you become a client, and you have two different options on how you want to do that. You can either purchase a membership for 12 months, get up to and over
Hmm.
250,000, or you can go the performance-based route, which ends up costing you more. So that, the process, just to give you a little more background, the process is all completed by us. We do all of the work, we do all the service, legwork behind setting up the business credit lines, communicating with the underwriter at each bank. So we're going to make
Hmm.
sure that you get approved at the maximum amount possible. And this is something that really sets us apart in the industry, because other companies out there, they don't go that extra step and actually speak with the underwriter like we do. So it turns a $5,000 approval into a $50,000, $60,000 approval, and that happens every day. So, the
Nice.
process is hire us, pre-qualify, and then we get the funding for you, and then you go out and you use it for whatever you want to use it for. It could be, like we
Right.
said earlier, marketing. I personally got into wholesaling, finding discounted properties. I wholesaled a handful of deals over the last year, and it allowed me to have that extra confidence to say, you know what, I'm going to spend a little bit
Mm.
more and not feel
Yep.
like I don't want to come out of pocket too much. Having access to the business credit lines gives you that confidence to spend a little bit more on your
Mm-hmm.
business.
100%. And another thing we like it for too is like, depending on what type, how much you get for your whoever's watching this, how much you get for your line of credit. I mean, for you, those of you out there that want to get involved fixing flips, some of these, um, companies, might involve a down payment or something. So that you can use this a line of credit for a down payment to buy your first rental property,
Right.
um, just say you got a line of credit for $30,000, right? And and um and and your rental property you're looking at is $100,000. You can take that $30,000 you get with Fund and Grow, right? And get a owner finance, get the seller to do owner financing on the 70,000. Or just say they do owner financing on $80,000, and you give them $20,000 down. You can use this line of credit with Fund and Grow to put a down payment on a note with the owner. The seller will do owner financing on. So there's so many ways that you can use this for, which I like about this. There's so many options. Fix and flips. You can buy a rental property. Like we use it for, and you say yourself, Mike, is marketing dollars to get some seller leads. I know a lot of people that's watching this, they want to do their possibly their first or next wholesale deal, but we all know that marketing is like the key to doing wholesale deals
Yep.
in the real estate business.
Yeah,
Another question I
definitely.
have for you too, Mike. Do you guys walk through the process of setting up the credit cards and setting up the business LLC?
Yes, actually, we do that. That's all included. If someone becomes a client with us, that's
Mhm.
included in our membership fee. So if you don't have a business entity right now, maybe you just started out. Like personally, I did a few wholesale deals, and now I just went and bought my first fix and flip that I'm actually in the process of renovating right now. But
Nice.
having that extra confidence kind of made me take that that leap of faith, if you will. I wholesaled a few, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just keep this one. And to be honest, the reason I kept it is because I just couldn't get the guy down low enough, and I couldn't find a buyer. Every buyer I was finding wanted it for what I had it for, and I was like, you know
Yep.
what? I'm just gonna keep this one, get my feet wet. So
100%.
so yeah, so you could do anything you want with the credit. You don't have to buy properties. You don't have to just use it for marketing. But a lot of clients that we've had have literally funded the entire purchase, especially on the deals that
Mm.
are under 100,000. You can literally send a wire transfer from the business credit line to the title company, and now you've become a
Powerful.
cash buyer. And I've
Yep.
interviewed clients that have done it. It's an easy process. It's not difficult. You just set up an account with our vendor that we work with, who will essentially, they'll charge your credit card, and then they'll send the wire
Mhm.
transfer to the vendor, to the contractor, or to the title company, and then you can become a cash buyer that way. And we've had tons of clients do this, because one of our affiliates actually sells properties and sends us a lot of clients. We've done over 70 million in total credit that we've originated for that group, because a lot of these people are looking to buy their first rental property or their 10th, and maybe they don't want to use cash, or they don't want to use traditional financing, so they get business
Mhm.
credit lines, and then they can close on deals that way. So it really works
Yeah.
great whether you're just in wholesaling, you're just starting out, and you don't even have a business entity yet. We'll set that up for you. But at the same time,
Mhm.
it's great regardless of what stage you're at in the real estate journey.
100%. And with traditional financing, that shows up on your credit. And like you said, using funding from with Funding Grow, that
Right.
doesn't show on your credit. So that's powerful alone. So tell me, like, what time? I know a lot of people that's watching this video right now probably have this type of question. So I want to ask this question because I think this is a popular question: is what kind of credit score do you need to have to be working with in order to go through with this program?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So we work with uh, are in different stages. They might have really strong credit. They might have really weak credit. Now, ideally, to get funding immediately within the first 2 weeks, you do need to have a decent credit score. So your scores should be over 680 in order to get funding within the next 2 weeks. Now, that's not just a blanket statement. It's gonna vary based on, someone with a 680 could have really strong credit, and then there could be someone else who's got a 680 that has really weak credit. And what I mean by that is not much history. So to get funding right away, ideally 680, 730 and up, you're going to get funding in 2 weeks, and you can get up to $150,000. Now the qualifications, it's really all about your credit. It doesn't matter what your tax returns or it doesn't matter what your business financials say, because this is all based on credit. It's credit based and it's stated income. So you're not going to have to go through all that headache of getting all the paperwork together, because it's, like I said, it's stated income, and it's more about your credit score, your credit history. So if you've got, some credit cards that are open and you're not maxed out and you don't have a bunch of negative items reporting on your personal credit report, then you should be good to go. And like I said, if you opt in at the pre-qual link, we'll give you a call and we'll ask you a few key questions about your credit, and then we'll tell you, a good window of where you qualify and what amount you should receive. So it's really based on credit score, credit history, your balances, so your debt to credit ratio, new credit. If you've got a bunch of brand new credit cards, that's going to affect things. Now, if you've got a bunch of inquiries from like the last couple months, that would kind of slow things down a little bit. So if your credit's in great shape, you could expect to receive anywhere from 40 to 80,000 in the first 2 weeks of working with us. Many clients get over 100,000, but we say 40 to 80 because it varies, and we don't want to overpromise. We want people to know realistically that's where most clients fall, 40 to 80,000 in the first 2 weeks, and then over the course of the 12-month membership that we have, you get 3 rounds of funding. So you might get your first round of funding in 2 weeks, and then months later you'll get your second round of funding, and that's how we build up to the 250,000 mark. And many clients get more than that. So you can, one thing we didn't even mention, you'll be able to add a spouse or a business partner on if you do become a client. We have a special bonus that we've got lined up for Antonio's people, where you can literally add a partner or add a spouse onto your account at no additional charge, and then we'll apply for them as well, and you'll get double the amount of funding that way. So we have a lot of clients that do that. And so yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Actually, somebody who's watching this video right now, they can bring on a credit partner to help boost their funding or the amount of funding they can get. Is that correct, Mike?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. So if they have anyone around them with good credit, they can boost double the amount that they get.
I have another question I'm curious about. So you go into a 30-year loan after receiving the cash. Is that the process? Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, a lot of clients who are buying rental properties, that really applies to them specifically, because they're going to buy a
Uh-huh.
rental property. Ideally, they're going to buy one that has equity, so that they're going to need to put some work into it. They're not going to just go out
Hmm.
and buy a retail property that's already completely fixed up. So they're going to go and buy, ideally, like an off-market distressed property, buy it as a cash buyer, renovate it, get it fixed up, and then they will refinance. Once they've got a tenant place, they're cash flowing, and the property will appraise now that it's fixed up, then they will refinance into the longer term investment mortgage. In some cases,
Hmm.
you could just refi into a HELOC, like if you have a property that's at that 50,000 mark or below, depending on the market you're in. We've seen that in the
Hmm.
past, where if they don't refinance into a long term investment mortgage, then they'll just refinance into a home equity line of credit.
So basically, they in this case they'll use this specific loan with Fund and Grow as a bridge loan. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, they could do that, or they can use it as, basically, they could look at it like it's cash, and that's kind of what they're
Okay.
using it for. So it gives them the ability to become a cash buyer. So if I'm going and I'm looking at some properties, and
Hmm.
I want to get a great deal on it, we all know we got to be the cash buyer. We got to be the quick, convenient, no closing costs, no real estate agent, and that gives us that
Yep.
best price on the house. So that's the idea of what we're doing here with business credit. It's so that you can avoid coming out of pocket, avoid the hard money lenders who don't always approve the deals that you want to buy, or they
Yep.
charge you 12% interest. Now, if you think about
Mm.
that, 12% interest on $100,000, that's 12 grand for the year, plus the 2 to 3 points in origination fees that you're going to likely have to pay. That's like
Yep.
$15,000. So if you use
Yeah.
business
But
credit on a few deals a year, you can save yourself quite a bit of money because it's going to cost you less than
mhm.
half to use the business credit process that we're talking about versus going and using a
Mhm.
hard money loan. And then you don't have to deal with anyone else. You could do it all yourself, use your business credit lines, and do a few more deals a year that way.
Man, that's so powerful. I mean, I like the analogy you use with the hard money loan fees. A lot of those fees be hidden too. Like, you get those hard money fees. I mean, granted, you still, if you have a deal, the whole goal is when you get hard money is because, I'm paying this high cost because I'm making profit. But if you can still make profit, that's cool. But if you can save, like you said, this $15,000 and use your business line of credit, you don't have to pay that. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, that's a game changer, Mike.
Yeah, and
Um,
it'll allow you to do other deals too that, the hard money lender might not
absolutely.
want to approve because there's not enough meat on the bone for everybody.
Mhm.
But if you take out
Yeah.
that 15,000 in expenses, now it's a deal that you might still want to take advantage of. And that's kind of what happened with
Mhm.
me personally. I had a deal that a hard money lender probably wouldn't have approved because there wasn't that much meat on the bone, but I just, I knew I wasn't going to make. For example, I had a deal at 57,000, right? It was already
Mhm.
70% rehabbed. Had a new roof, new AC, new drywall, new texture, new kitchens. I had it at
Right.
57,000. I knew it was worth about 110, 115. I
Yep.
wholesaled it and made a couple grand on it. And
Mhm.
the flipper probably put like 10 grand more into the house to finish it. And then they sold it
Mhm.
for 125. And I just looked, it just sold 2 months ago for 125,000. And that was a deal right there that I should have kept. Instead, I kept this other one that it was basically another $10,000 in cost with the same resale price. So, a hard money lender wouldn't have approved this deal that I did, but I'm
No.
still going to make, a good 30 grand, maybe a little less after I fix it and
Mhm.
sell it. But, that's money that I wouldn't have had otherwise. I couldn't get it done on a wholesale deal, and a hard money
Yeah.
lender wouldn't have helped me on that. So I'm just using business credit, my own funds, and I'm doing my first flip. So I'm a perfect example for people that are watching. If you're wholesaling
Yeah.
and you're not quite at that level to do a flip, maybe it's just because you don't have the extra money on hand. Forget about the hard money
Yeah.
lender because that's like a whole other project that someone that's just starting out might not want to, might not be able to figure out. And also, a lot of times they need you to have experience. They don't just
Mhm.
always work with beginners.
Yeah, the hard money guys.
Hmm.
100%. 100%. They wanna see your track record over the last 12 months. Send me those HUD statements or,
Yeah.
those with your company name on it. So, yeah, that this is another advantage with using you guys versus hard money outside of the high, points and origination fees and all that stuff.
Yep.
Um, got another question for you though, Mike. How does the other process of getting cash um off of the business cards work? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so we've actually just started talking with another new vendor who does
Mhm.
that wire transfer method I was telling you guys about. So basically, they'll charge your card and send a wire transfer from your business credit card to any place of business. So if a place that
Mhm.
you couldn't pay or that you couldn't pay with a credit card before, you can now use your credit card to pay because Plastic will literally charge your card and then they'll charge you a nominal fee of like 2.75%. And then they'll send a wire
Mhm.
transfer out to whatever business you want to send it to. It could be to the marketing company for direct mail costs, or it could be
Mhm.
to the closing company so that you could buy the deal that you want to buy. They literally, you
Mhm.
send a wire transfer from your credit line. Plastic sends it over to the title company. Now they've got the money in escrow and you close on the property. And we've done this countless times and it's a very easy and seamless process. And it works for contractors too. If a contractor doesn't take credit card and,
Mhm.
excuse me, he just wants cash, it works good for that
Mhm.
as well.
Got it.
So that's
So
kind of the
basically,
process of
so do
utilizing
you?
these as cash. There's other ways to do it as well. You can do balance transfers directly
Yep.
to your account or to the credit card that you want to bring the balance down on, or you could do a balance transfer to your HELOC as well. You can send the money
Mhm.
from your credit line to your HELOC if you have one, and then you can draw that cash directly off the HELOC. But honestly, the wire transfer method pretty much solves everything for all of our clients that we work with. They don't really need to just get the cash in so many cases. Now, if you're buying it at an auction, then that comes in handy. So, there are
Mm.
some scenarios where you want to do that, and we have done that for clients, but it's mostly easiest to just send the wire transfer to wherever you want to send it and go
Yep.
carry it out that way.
And I forgot to mention at the beginning, but this is another way, guys, that I personally use Fund and Grow with the credit cards is all the time. Is it with the online auctions that for some people that's watching this, a lot of people know that I do online auctions and I teach that you need to put a down a down payment per se on these online auction properties, and that's like $2,500 on each property, and it's just a hold, but you still need to put that down as a hold on these online auction properties, so you can use these credit cards, you know, as down payments for your online auction properties. There's so many ways. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, for
I got a
coaching,
question. What's that, Mike? Go
even
ahead.
for like coaching programs, it just reminded me of that. We have a lot of
Yeah.
companies that will use us so that they can finance their coaching programs that they offer, 10,
Yep.
20, 30, $60,000 coaching programs. This works out
Yep.
well for that too. So if I don't know if that's a fit for anyone that's watching, but
Absolutely. I mean, I do have a couple coaching program packages. Not getting into detail of that, but investing in yourself as an entrepreneur and growing your business, it's no way out of not having mentors and getting the right coach. And with me, I show people how to to invest in real estate with my coaching. And yeah, you can use this Fund and Grow your credit to invest in the coaching program with us. So that's a whole nother route, and your business is skyrocket anyway, in the coaching program, because you're kind of like skipping the line, and we're showing you the exact steps of what to do, what not to do. These are the marketing strategies that we're implementing. These are the leads, the type of leads you want to target. But again, I'm not going into detail of that.
yeah.
um
But no, that's
but
totally the way to go. If you're trying to
yeah.
get started on your own and you're just watching a
Mhm.
YouTube video here and there, getting that coach, getting that course
Yeah.
that
Yep.
lays it all out is that's what you have to do. Otherwise, you'll be
Absolutely.
trying for years and years. I actually had access to a course, and it still took me a year and a half to get a deal done. But I
Yep.
was, I was not exactly focused. But still,
Right.
I had everything I needed. I had the whole plan laid out. I knew what list to get, where, how to send the mail, all those things figured out. Still took me a year and a
Hmm.
half. So I totally believe in
Hmm.
working together with someone who knows what they're doing for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
100% for sure. Tell me more about the credit cards themselves. Why would they work? Why should we work with you opposed to trying this out ourselves? You know.
Okay. That's a good question, actually. But
Yeah.
a lot of people who try this out on their own, right? They might even have good credit. They might have 750 credit scores. And I hear this all the time from people who they go out and they try to get credit on their own. They try to get business credit specifically on their own, and they
Hmm.
don't get approved. The bank tells them that you're denied because you don't have any business credit history. So that's something that we see a lot of clients running into. They're having a hard time getting approved for business credit because they don't have any business credit yet. So it's kind of
Yep.
like hard to get approved when that's what the bank's telling you. So
Mm.
with us, we literally do about 15 million on average, 12, 15 million a month in new credit lines that
Mhm.
we establish for people, business credit. So we have
Yep.
a lot of volume that we're sending through. It's much easier for us to get someone on the phone who can actually make a decision versus the average person just goes to the website and they fill out the application, and then it automatically responds and says you're approved for 5,000 or you're denied, sorry, and that's it.
Mhm.
That's usually the way it goes right there. It doesn't go any further than that, and that's the decision, and that's it. So working with us, because we have so much volume that we're sending through, we're literally able to basically get you bumped to the front of the line, have a human being review that, and give you the maximum amount possible based on your credit. So a lot of times you
Mm.
might get denied for business credit even though you qualify. It just systematically denies you. based on some little code that pops up on your credit report. It could say no previous business credit history, but you've got the
Yeah.
solid personal credit. And that's really all that we need, right? So we're able to get those approvals on those where you would have gotten denied on your own. We're able to actually get them reviewed again. And then doing
Hmm.
that literally turns it from 5,000, 10,000 into 50, 75, 100,000. We talk about that on the webinar. We go into detail. We show everyone the back office, the CRM. We show them the different columns. The auto approval is always a bunch of zeros. And then, follow up number one, follow up number two. That's where you start seeing the 25, 30, $50,000 approvals coming
Mm.
in. And that's our team following up. They get incentivized per thousand that they bring in, per thousand that they get you increased. They get a commission based on that. And they get a bonus each month based on that. And they get paid for, they get commissions for basically for bringing a review in, for collecting that review from someone. So they're completely incentivized to do their best, their absolute best for our clients. And that's why we have literally over 1,500 reviews. If you look us up on like Google or Better Business Bureau, or we also have a
Mhm.
Sotellus account. We have so many reviews. That's because
Yeah.
we are able to get people more than what they're able to get on their own,
Hmm.
and do it consistently for a lot of people. So that process that I'm talking about, that negotiating process of following up, no one else in this industry does that, and it allows us to apply for less credit lines at a time because we can get them all approved versus applying for like 15 or 20 at one time like these other companies out there. We can just apply for a few at a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So that's the big difference right there. You got, you guys are experts at this, and it's a team. So, um, I'm not gonna, just say try to put a roof on. That might be a terrible analogy, but just say I'd rather get a roofer that knows how to do that and try to do that stuff myself.
Oh
I,
no,
I
that's
know investors
perfect.
that, yeah, I know investors that I call them handyman and cash buyer investors. I mean, they'll buy properties off of me when I'm wholesaling them deals, and they'll do the work themselves, but they're doing like one rehab at a time because they have to do the work themselves, but they don't understand the mindset of like, man, you can just scale your business if you just let the contractors do the work. But they think they're saving money and getting more money, but really they're actually losing deals and
Yeah.
losing money because they're doing, 4 deals a year because it's taking them,
Yeah.
3 months to
Meanwhile, they
do
could
one
hire
rehab.
help for not that
Exactly.
expensive. You could hire some great help to get that stuff done while you're either chilling or you're focused on the next deal.
Yep.
That's where you should be focused. That's exactly the same thing when it comes to what we're talking about today. Same thing like with
Yeah.
closing costs. I've heard that there's
Yep.
some investors that actually know how to do the whole entire closing process that the closing
Oh
company
yeah.
does. And I was like, "What?" I'm like, "No, you offered me, 60,000, that's the offer, right?" And they're like, "No, like I'm there's no closing costs. I'm going to do the closing costs myself or the closing myself." And I'm like, "What?" That just blew my mind. Like that investor was
Mhm.
offering me a deal, but that was only contingent on them doing the closing costs. Anyway, it's just
Right.
like, why do that? Why? Like, just hire someone to do it. Just like with Facebook
Right.
ads. That's not easy. Like I tried to do that on my own.
Right.
We hired somebody. Now we're churning out every month. Now we're increasing the amount of sales we're doing, and you got to put a lot
Man.
of focus on
Mhm.
it. Same thing with credit. Like we have to sit on the phone on hold sometimes way longer than you're going to want to do on your own. And then in some cases, you might not even reach the decision maker. We have like the direct numbers to the decision maker that we speak with on a daily basis. So,
Yeah.
it's just a lot easier to work with us versus doing it on your own. We're consistent with it. We get really great results. And even if you got a 750, 780 score, you're not going to get approved at the level that will get you approved if you even do. You might get approved for a
Mhm.
small amount, but I'm telling you, even with people with great credit, they've gone and they've done it on their own and they don't understand why they didn't get approved. So that there are a lot of reasons to work with us for sure.
I love it. I love it, man. Mike, take me through the process with the business cards. Is it 0% interest rate for 18 months, 6 months? Is that usually how it goes at the window? What's the actual like exact window of that?
Yeah, so the average is a 12, or the average zero interest time frame is about 12 months. So some of them will be 15 months. Some of them will even be 18 months. We have one that's 21 months. Some of them are also a little bit below the 12-month mark. So we have some that are 6 months, 9 months. Now, after that interest rate expires, we will be able to roll you over into a new zero interest account. So that's the idea of us applying 3 times over that 12-month period, because we get you your first round today, and then at the end of the 12-month membership, you get your last round of funding that's going to have another average of 12 months of zero interest. So in total, you could be looking at more like 18 to 24 months in total, because we're able to merge some of the accounts so that you're able to keep it at zero interest for as long as possible. And in some cases, balance transfer, but in a lot of cases, you can merge an account so that the balance is on the new account with the zero interest introductory offer. And then after that, the rate does go up. So let's say after the 12 months, you've expired all of your zero interest. It doesn't mean the account closes. You don't have to have it paid off at that time. Ideally, you would want to at least have it paid down the majority of the way, so you're not paying too much
Yeah.
out in interest. But the cool thing is if we get you $250,000, that's still revolving and open for as long as you want to keep it open. So you can have that for the next 10 years. Anytime you need help, need a little cushion funding for one of the flips you're doing or whatever, you can dip into it. But the idea is to keep it at zero interest as long as possible. We have a lot of clients that'll sign up for second year, third year with us so that they can keep getting more zero interest and moving those balances. But that is the process. It's not necessarily lifetime at zero interest. It's like a couple, 3 years at zero
Yeah.
interest max if you want to sign up with us again for year to year. But if you just go through the process, 1 year membership with us, you're looking at usually about 18 months at zero interest after we get you those 3 rounds of funding. And then you're going to want to refinance. So if if you bought a house on it, you're going to want to refinance if you're going to hold that house so that you can um, get the debt off these business credit lines and turn it into refinance it into a long-term mortgage. But if you're doing a flip, you could just keep rinse and repeating as fast as you can get those flips done, and that that just allows you to basically be a cash buyer on some deals that you might not have been able to before. Hopefully that answered your question. Sometimes I get off on
Absolutely.
a tangent.
Yeah, but it's really cool because it just say like conservatively 1 year, 12 months, and you got approved for 100 grand. I mean, that's in my market. That's one flip. And I can do one flip, be in and out of it 2 months. From the
Yep.
time I sold, brought it, fixed it up, put it back on the market. 2 months, 3 months tops. That's 4 year with 0% interest.
Yeah.
and, and I didn't pay any interest on that money. So it's kind of like I'm using my own cash per se, you know, but
Yeah.
I'm using other people's money, which is, the bank's money, with the 0% interest of doing a flip. I mean, that's sweet. Or on the flip side, I can kind of look at it the mindset of, okay, I want to buy some rentals, right? But I know, for an example, like I use, let's just say, like a investing company like Lima One.
Mm-hmm.
You might be aware of them, Lima One, or who else out there, Lending Home and stuff like that. They want you to purchase that property for their buy and hold 30-year program. They want you to hold that rental property for at least 3 months or some. I think maybe Lending Home might be 6 months. So you can use a 0%, interest money. You got it for a year. Use that for a bridge loan, and then like you said earlier,
Yeah.
refinance out. It's so many cool ways you can use this funding for. So,
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, and
yeah.
I think with Lima also, you have to have
Mhm,
had owned a house before. Like you have to either have a mortgage on a house or you have to be a previous homeowner in
mhm,
order to get that longer term mortgage. I'm pretty sure. Because I had a client who was trying to refinance. He had just bought those 2 rentals, but he didn't have a previous mortgage or residence. He was renting because he was a college student. He bought 2 rentals. He's got 2 rentals now, cash flowing, and he hasn't even owned his own home yet. But yeah, so like you just have different stipulations, right? Like
yep.
so, when it comes to like refinancing, I know that in the past, you mentioned a couple things, but in some cases, in order to refinance, you have to have owned a house before. Like you might have to own this one property for 6 months, but you've
Yep.
also had to own a property before that, something like that. So yeah, you don't have to deal with a lot of that stuff if you are buying and flipping. A lot of that stuff we're
Yes.
talking about there is more for the rental investor who's
Yep.
going to hold properties, and a lot
Yep.
of people want to do that. But this works great for either scenario, for flipping or for holding rentals. It's just a matter of determining what your refinance loan is going to be on the back end. And so Lima's a good one for that, but there's tons of just traditional banks that you can go through to refinance after you were the cash buyer. Now you fix it up, you got a tenant, now you can refinance with just about any mortgage, any company that you want, unless
Hmm.
it's like below 50,000, because that's when it
Yeah.
starts getting tricky to find a loan. But not, there's only a few markets that are like that, like in Indy. I know
My
it's like
market.
that.
My market.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Virginia, my main market. I mean, I'm buying, my rental properties, 30 grand, 25 grand. I mean, they're sweet deals, man. I actually buying a condo now. I'm actually closing on in literally what's the day? Tuesday, 3 days from today, Friday, for 10 grand. It's a condo.
How much is that gonna rent?
That's gonna rent for 750.
Those are the
Yeah,
kinds of
it's a
returns.
steal. I mean, we got it from the marketing. I mean, we use, you got Funding Grove, the credit card we got from for the marketing, um, that we use for cold calling. We use the marketing dollars for that to do cold calling and get the list. And it was a sweet
That's
deal. It's a
awesome, man.
steal. It's a steal. It's
That
a
makes me
steal.
happy just hearing that.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So you got
Yep.
people cold calling all different distress lists.
Yep.
Yeah,
Hands
nice.
down. Yep. I mean, that's and specifically in the market that we're in today. I mean, I believe cold calling is one of the top ways to get some good, sweet deals.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I've done a little bit. I got the Mojo dialer. Is that the one you guys use, or
Yeah. Yep.
yeah?
Mojo dollars, triple dollars, and we're just calling away, man.
That thing is sweet. Yeah, we're gonna start using that at Fund and Grow because, to be honest, we don't do much cold calling at Fund and Grow, but
Yeah.
we do a lot of webinars, podcasts, videos like this, and
Yep.
then we follow up with everybody directly. But we're gonna start using the Mojo dialer because some salespeople can do literally like 200 calls an hour, I think, versus
Mm.
like 100 calls, 150 calls a day.
Yep.
But it's just a matter
Yeah.
of loading them into that list. But yeah, cold calling in the real estate world, I've been hearing more and more about that. It's just the cheapest and most effective way to always be finding sellers, always be making deals happening that way, versus
Mhm.
spending 5,000 a month or whatever on direct mail and getting a
Yep.
real small
Yeah.
return
Yeah.
if you
I
are
would
even
say
able to.
direct mail is probably the fourth best on our list. I
Yeah.
would say in order, we have four, what I call it omnipresence marketing. Um, and we take a list, skip trace that list, get the phone numbers to the list,
Mm-hmm.
and we use these four ways in this order. We do text blast, we'll do our ringless voicemail, RVM, basically sending an automated voicemail to somebody's phone without their phone ringing. Then we'll do cold calling. That's our third best. Actually, I would say cold calling is second now, and RVM is third now. And
What's first?
first is text blasting,
Yeah.
automated text blast. Yeah, so you upload a list to a text blast software, and it it customized like, hello, Mike. I'd like to buy your property at 123 Main Street.
Oh,
Is it for sale? You know,
which one do you use? Which
we use
text blast?
Text Magic.
Text Magic?
Text. Yep, textmagic.com. Yep.
And you can just take the skip trace list, put it in, send it out.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
like the league's on steroids, dude. So you got to be like, I mean, I would personally have, like we do, we have VAs there waiting for, like, I mean, texts come in all day. They're leads, and you're like, you're talking with the seller via text,
oh,
and
that's
you're
nice.
making an offer via text, dude. It is insane. Like just the world we live in today. So
Yeah,
that's,
that's
that's like
awesome. And
it's the new hot thing.
it's not that hard to get that done, right? Like you can get the list skip trace. I've done it personally, and
No,
I don't even know what I'm
no,
doing with when it comes to real estate. And you just get the
no.
list, send it to the skip tracer. He sends it back. You load it up into the Text Blast or the Mojo dialer, and then
Yep.
so you're using that skip trace list in multiple ways, not just cold calling.
Exactly.
You're sending
That's
messages too. That's cool.
omnipresent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So text blast, cold call second, RVM third, and direct mail is it hits the that's like the bottom of our list of marketing. So because direct
Yeah.
mail is so expensive versus those other channels. I mean, text is 3 cents, dude. I mean,
Yeah, that's
I mean,
awesome.
to send a letter out, it's like $1 and change, give or take,
Yeah,
depending on like it's crazy.
yeah, it is. It's expensive. It really does add up. You spend a couple
Yeah,
grand to send out some direct mail, and you're like hoping one of
yeah,
those 20 callbacks is going to become a deal. But with
yeah.
that text idea, that's nice. Text
Mm.
magic, huh? I've used easy texting before, and they're pretty
Mm.
cool. They pretty much just, you just put the list in and you can send the message without having to jump through like 1,000 hoops, you know?
Yeah, nice, nice. I got another question for you, Mike. So, how much money have you gotten clients? Like on average, if you know that number.
Yeah, total we're over 600 million total, and then like we said earlier,
Yeah.
we did 15 million on the average for the last few months. So the last few months we've been between like 12 to 15 million that we've established each month.
Mhm.
So each client is getting between 50 to 250,000 over the course of the 12 months, but within the first 2 weeks, because we have
Mhm.
a 2 week turnaround time now, people are getting up to 150, but most people fall between that 40 to $80,000 range. So
Mm.
that's kind of the numbers over 600 million, and
Mhm.
then each month's about 15 million now.
Nice. It's still a great number, though. I mean, that's great startup capital for a business, man. I mean,
Yeah,
some people watching this this video, they want to get into the wholesaling business, and they get into it, and they be like, oh, it doesn't work. And then when uh I care about people, so I'll see people in my DMs, and I'll be like, okay, so what how many leads have you got last month? And you're like, well, and how many offers have you made last month? Well, I got 4 leads last month, and I made one offer. Well, that's the reason why it's not working, because you're not marketing, and you have to market to get leads. And in order to do deals, you got to assess those leads and make offers as fast as possible. It's a numbers game, and you have to have marketing dollars. And again, going back to with Funding Grow, I mean, Funding Grow can be amazing, amazing route for you to use as an avenue to use for your marketing dollars, to put up for do cold calling, like I was mentioned earlier, RVMs, text magic. I mean, yes, that costs money, but any business that ever in this whole world, I mean, they market to attain a lead.
yeah,
It costs for leads, and in our
yep,
business, seller leads, you know, you got to market for seller leads as an investor to do deals.
yeah,
There's no way out of it.
yeah. It's kind of sucks, but it ends up being worth it. You just gotta like have
Yeah,
faith, right? Because sometimes you
yeah.
just feel like, ooh, is this really gonna work? I mean, that's how I felt when I
At the
first got into
beginning, yeah,
wholesaling.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
I said, all right, let me keep this one and fix it up. But that's how I felt at first, getting all these lists together, going
yeah,
to the county website and creating the tax delinquent list. I'm like, is this really gonna work? Like, but
yeah. But
yeah, and then you
it's like
spend the money,
magic.
you spend 1,500, whatever it is, to mail the list. And yeah, unknown equity list, that's one that was easy to get versus like
Oh,
tax delinquent. And I feel like
yep.
that one produced pretty good. But
You just gave a golden tip. The unknown equity list is golden. Like,
yeah,
investors, like, they overlook that, especially like wholesalers that they're scoping for deals. Like, Mike, that list right there is like a top list that we target. Unknown equity list.
yeah. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
gotten a couple deals off that actually. I got
yeah,
one that I wholesaled, and it was like a 22,000. Well, at first it was 17,005 difference, and then he told me
mhm,
the roof had been replaced, and we already got a contract signed, and then we
mhm.
closed, and I kind of let him know like, hey, the roof wasn't replaced. He said it was, so he sent me 5,000 credit. So I ended up getting 22.5 difference on that one, and that was like my
Nice.
third or fourth deal that I ever did, and that was from the unknown equity list. So yeah,
Wow.
It worked.
Powerful, powerful.
It definitely works.
Yeah, yeah. So
Just-
we're giving you, different ways to use this funding, and marketing is one. So,
oh yeah, pay your
you know,
VAs. Yeah, definitely.
yeah. So I mean, it costs money for to get your list. It costs money for skip trace. I mean, one thing you need is, this is not like a want. You need a list in this today's market, and you need to skip trace. So all four of the marketing channels I gave you guys, from text blast, ringless voicemail, cold call, and direct mail, all four of those, you have to have a list. And you, um, besides direct mail, which is the fourth one on the list, those other three, you have to have them skip trace. But you need a list for all of that, and you need marketing dollars to put into that. I see some people like, hey, Antonio, I got $100. What can I do? As far as getting deals, and it's tough to answer that. I mean, the best way possible is maybe you don't drive for dollars, but we know that takes manual work. It takes gas, and that
Hmm.
it people like that you have funding grow, funding. We can just, it's simple. We can just get 5,000 leads and skip trace those, and we know that person that drove for dollars only found 5 properties, and we got 5,000 leads that we're about to, it's speed of implementation. That's
Yeah,
how. But
yeah.
you need marketing dollars to implement this stuff, and that's the whole purpose of this video for you guys. Um, I got another question. We'll wrap it up soon here, Mike. I know you're busy, man, and I appreciate your time. Is there anything we missed? Is there anything you'd be kicking off yourself, later if you didn't mention this on this video? So anything else you want to add?
I think we covered. We even went into some wholesaling and some strategy stuff too. So this is a pretty good video overall. But as far as like
Yeah.
fund and grow and business credit and everything, I feel like we did cover just about everything. Like we'll set up the entity for you guys because a lot of you might not have one yet. I know I didn't have
Right.
one until just recently, and I did deals without it. So we'll set up an entity for you that we can apply for the business credit with, and make sure that your business credit lines don't report to your personal credit. So we'll set up the entity for you. We do have a 60-day refund period, so if you don't get credit or if you become a client and you aren't able to get credit, you have 60 days that you can get your money back. So if you go to the pre-qual link that we're going to have in the description, you'll be able to speak with somebody at our team or at our place of business at Fund and Grow, and they'll go over your credit, they'll go over everything with you and let you know what you pre-qualify for. And then from there, you'll get a pretty big discount that Antonio negotiated, $500 off our
Yep.
membership fee. And you'll get some pretty nice bonuses as well. You'll be able to add your partner or your spouse on for free. Usually
Yep.
that's an additional charge. So you're basically getting a $500 discount, and you're getting the ability to add someone else onto your account. It's usually a family member or business partner. So yeah, so I think we did cover pretty much everything. So make sure you guys go to that link and pre-qualify. And we're also going to be doing a webinar as well. So if
Mm-hmm.
you go to that link, you'll get to pre-qualify, and then if you want to see the webinar, we'll get you registered for the webinar as well. But I think we
Sweet.
pretty much covered everything.
Right. Yeah. So, guys, if you're interested in this, which you should be interested in this, click the link somewhere below this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, in the description part on YouTube, you'll see a link. It's houseflipperacademy.com/funding. If you're watching this video somewhere else, that I might be having this hosted at, just click the link below me. And like Mike said, you fill out the form, give you a call, get you pre-qualified, and get your funding as quickly as possible, so you can use it, for marketing for your wholesale business, or if you want to do your fix and flip, you can use the funding for that. A rental property, and obviously, if you do a rental property, you can have that 0% interest and maybe refi later on. But so many ways for online auction properties, for you guys watching the video. Be like, hey, Antonio, man, I don't have that $2,500 down, deposit to put down on online auction properties. You can use this all day long. I do it all day long with Fund and Grow, funding for online auction property. So
Yep.
I think we covered it all, man. I'm super pumped, guys. Click the link below me. Click that link, or simply go to houseflipperacademy.com/funding, and Mike, and they'll take care of you. I mean, they're great people. So
Yeah,
yeah.
how many years
So,
ago was it that you became a client initially with us? It was like It was a while back.
7 years now, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I still use those credit cards today for marketing and like online auctions is like one of my go-to things. Outside of the four pillars, that's
Hmm.
direct. The four pillars are direct to seller, marketing channels. But like online auctions are bank-owned properties that are already foreclosed on, and that's like you just go on like auction.com, zoom.com, hubzoo.com, Hudson and Marshall, hudsonandmarshall.com, and they especially like the top ones, auction.com and Zoom, they charge you like they charge you a down like a deposit to before you are allowed to bid on the properties. So I use Funding Growth Funding as the credit card, and just to put down that $2,500 deposit hold all day long.
Nice.
I'll bid on 10 properties if I can that day.
What was the name of
If
that
10
website?
So auction.com, that's the number one that we're getting most of our deals from, far as on the auction platforms. Zoom, that's XOM like Mary E.com. And you got Hubzoo, HUB like boy, ZU.com. And Hudson and Marshall.com.
Man, maybe we should
And you
put
got,
these links in the description. This video, I'm
yeah,
learning from this video. This is great.
yeah. And lastly, you got realtybid.com, realtybid.com. I mean, those are online auctions, some cool ways to get some good deals, but you need some funding, and you can't assign. Technically, you can wholesale it, but you can't assign.
Gotta
Um,
close.
you got double close,
Yeah.
so that's where Funding Grow comes in. You can use your Funding Grow funding as as like so-called transactional funding to close on your auction property, so you can flip it to your in cash buyer for the same day closing. So I mean,
Yeah.
Funding Grow just win. You're winning in a lot of ways with Funding Grow.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you
Yeah.
again for having me on today. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
All
And
right. Thanks, Mike.
yeah, let me
Thanks
know
for your time.
if you have anybody who's reaching out directly, or anyone that's watching this video. Feel free to leave a comment if you liked it, or if you want to learn more. Just go to the link and we'll give you a call.
Yeah. Sweet. All right. Guys, have a great one. Click that link below.